What's good, guys and girls? We're going to be going over Predator vs. Spider-Man issues 2 and 3. I do love this story so far, but I hate on how short these issues are. So let's get into it. To start off issue 2, we see utility workers all over New York City trying to get the power back on as soon as possible. And it better be soon, because 8 million people in one city, along with a bad blood predator roaming around during a massive heat wave, is a recipe for disaster. Just saying. I'm not even counting what other criminals are out there doing, but this bad blood has to be dealt with first. As far as the utility workers go, hopefully they're getting some overtime pay for this. We then cut to one worker who goes on the ground to fix some wiring until he hears someone screaming and calling for help. He runs down to find the source of the screaming and finds the subway train MJ was on. He uses all his strength to open one of the cart doors, and a pool of blood starts coming out. He sees the chopped up and skinned bodies of innocent people hanging from the ceiling of the train. Now that will keep someone up for a while, to the point where you need some Z-code to help your ass go to sleep. Nah, this couldn't be me. If I was the worker in this situation, opening that door would have been all the proof I needed to leave and come back with some backup. Screw that. Or better yet, just let the cops handle it. Nope, not me. A mysterious figure comes out of the shadows, which is never a good sign if you watch any horror movie, and tells the worker, "Help me." The worker asks what happened here, but the mysterious figure reveals itself to be the bad blood predator. Rest in peace, or pieces to that worker. MJ uses this as an opportunity to run away with the girl she met in the last issue. Above ground, we see Peter at his and MJ's apartment. He hears a knock on the door and thinks it's MJ, but it turns out to be Detective Lapearl after he opens it. This was a major rookie move. Why would he open the door with a suit on and no mask? Come on, Peter. He quickly shuts the door and Lapearl demands he opens it. Peter says, "You mad? You seem mad." Lapearl admits she's worse than that. She's royally pissed that he took photos at her crime scene. She then questions if he was the one who offed the victims at the crime scene. Peter, clearly confused, questions why would he do something like that and then publish an article about it. Lapearl points out that sickos love attention, which is a valid reason considering she's a detective. She gives him 5 seconds to open the door, but Peter starts getting ready to head back out as Spider-Man. Before he leaves, he tells Lapearl that there are more victims and a second crime scene. He apologizes for not calling it in or mentioning it in the article. In his mind, he thought the Skinner would come back to the second crime scene. He dips out the window and basically tells Lapearl to go over there and check it out. As Spider-Man swings, we see the Predator ship cloaked and hovering above him. Spider-Man's spider sense is constantly bugging him like a rash, or better yet, like eczema. For those of you who have or have had eczema, that itch just keeps bothering you all day long and making you think about it non-stop. If you scratch it, it just gets worse. But if you cope with it and run hot water over it, man, let me tell you, it's one of, if not the best feelings in the world for a few seconds. Peter is sensing what's happening on the ground level of the city, but I think half the reason the spider sense is going haywire is due to the predator ship above him, and he can't see it. He swings to the public library to do some research and figure out if there's a background to the skinned bodies with missing body parts and symbol left behind in each of the crime scenes. Across the city, Kraven is at the second crime scene left by the bad blood. He begins to confess his boredom. Until now, he missed that whoever or whatever the Skinner is worthy prey from. Kraven pieces together all the clues and concludes that the Skinner is just like him, a trophy hunter. The Skinner doesn't care about money. He cares about flesh, blood, and bone. He likely has a place where he stores the skin and body parts he's taken, displaying them as art. Kraven loves the idea of making a trophy out of a trophy hunter just like him. He looks around and notices how precisely the Skinner cuts the skin off his victims, as well as the tracks left behind. But one problem stands in Kraven's way: Spider-Man. He sees that Spider-Man left the trap in case the Skinner returns at the crime scene. This is what Peter meant earlier when he told Lapearl he hoped the Skinner would come back after he told her about this crime scene. And speaking of that, Lapearl arrives with a gun pointed at the back of Kraven's head. She demands that he puts his hands behind his back so she can arrest him. But if I was in the same room as her, I'd tell her that's not a good idea. Kraven is in a whole different league than she is, and he proves it by throwing her into Spider-Man's trap right before he escapes. Jumping across rooftops, Kraven realizes that this is more than a hunt. It's a race against Spider-Man to see who can get to the Skinner first. Back on the ground with MJ, she and the girl come across a homeless man. He quickly covers both of their mouths and tells them to stay quiet or else the predator will find them. MJ, not knowing what the predator is, asks the man about it. He doesn't give a direct answer, but instead shows them what they're dealing with. And it's freaking horrifying and dark as he leads the women to the predator's throne room made out of the skin and bones of men and women. Hopefully no children, but since this is a bad blood, it's possible. Personally, I prefer not to know. At the Daily Bugle, Peter tells Jonah that he did some research at the public library and found something very fascinating that correlates with the recent crime scenes. Come to find out, what we saw in the crime scenes has been happening for a long time. It always occurs during times of war, plague, and drought, especially when it gets really hot. Peter provides some examples by showing Jonah photos of skinned bodies with missing limbs and skulls. He tells them that this style of killing and the symbol left behind has been showing up, not for decades, but for hundreds of years in different parts of the world. In other words, the Yautja, aka the Predator race, has been on Earth hunting for a long time. This doesn't necessarily mean the bad blood has been here for hundreds of years, but it's possible given the average lifespan of a Yautja is around 1,000 years, and the same exact killing patterns have appeared throughout history. Yeah, this bad blood is most likely a very skilled hunter, and it's possible he's dodged whatever the other Yautja have thrown at him, but I don't think that's the case. Eventually, the higher-ups and more experienced hunters in the Yautja hierarchy would be alerted, and they'd have to deal with the bad blood themselves. I think multiple predators have hunted on Earth throughout time, and then one of them eventually went rogue. Suddenly, Peter's spider sense goes off and he notices the birds at the window scattering. On the final page of the issue, we see 3 predators appear outside the Daily Bugle, ending off issue 2. Now we're going to move on to issue 3, and to me this issue seems like the shortest issue of the series so far. So to start off issue 3, we jump right back to where we left off at the Daily Bugle. Jonah is wondering what's gotten into Peter. Secretly, Peter knows what's up. He senses danger right outside the Bugle, and suddenly the power comes back on. But Peter suggests that they both need to leave. Jonah's confused and wonders what he's talking about. They both got a lot of work to do. Peter keeps glancing back knowing he's running out of time before something happens. He comes up with an excuse and tells Jonah he needs to show him something that could be their next big headline. He shoves Jonah into the elevator. Meanwhile, the predators break into the Bugle's main office. Both Peter and Jonah hear the noise. Peter offers to check it out while Jonah heads downstairs, giving him the perfect opportunity to change into Spider-Man. The predators scan the office until they come across a bulletin board filled with all the stories and trails of the bad blood. They recognize the symbol until Spider-Man appears above them and immediately starts a fight. If you guys and girls ever wondered who would win in a fight between Spider-Man and the Predator, why not take it up a notch? Spider-Man versus 3 Predators. Personally, it's a no-brainer that Spider-Man will win, especially if he was bloodlusted. He's stronger, faster, more agile, and smarter. And I haven't even mentioned his spider sense. With that and his reflexes, forget about it. These panels show Spider-Man not even using half of what he's truly capable of. Sadly, for me anyways. The fight gets cut off as we shift to a couple utility workers still working on the grid and wiring. They seem to have made some good progress until they're forced to take 2 steps back when an arrow suddenly hits the wiring, causing an explosion. Kraven, with his insane accuracy I might add, shot the arrow from a distance. He wants the city to stay dark during this hunt. He doesn't want the Avengers to get involved or else it'll ruin the fun for him. Kraven knows New York City is a city of eyes, windows, and cameras. So if the bad blood has been in the city without being recorded, Kraven suspects he's located underground. And speaking of underground, this is a good segue to see what MJ is up to. Both girls are scared out of their minds and she's wondering how to get out of there. The homeless man tells them it's safer to stay underground and to stay quiet since noise travels fast. Suddenly all 3 of them hear someone calling for help, and the man makes a quick U-turn and leads the girls into the opposite direction. He tells them that it's the Skinner and he's coming back. MJ is confused, thinking it sounds like a woman calling for help, but the man explains that that's how the Skinner tricks his prey. He's like a puppet master, throwing voices around as bait to lure victims in. The man leads them deeper into a tunnel so they can hide, stopping at a pool full of rats. He pushes them in as they ran out of time, and the women scream as the rats swarm and cover them. Jeez, after all this, they're gonna need hella shots and a very long shower. It's disgusting, but still better than getting off by the bad blood. The bad blood suddenly appears and can't sense MJ's body heat. It's over for this man though. He knew what he was doing and sacrifices himself so the women could live. My guess is that he knew the bad blood could have sensed his prey's body heat if it was masked by other forms of heat, like a pool of rats or fire. Hopefully MJ pieces it together when she gets out and tells Peter right away. Back at the Bugle, Spider-Man is still fighting a team of predators. He throws the web at one of them trying to get a look under the helmet, and when he finally sees what one of them looks like, he's like, you know what, you can put your helmet back on. 2 predators charge at him. Spider-Man takes them both down with ease, but then the spider sense goes off like crazy. We don't find out what happens next as the next page cuts to outside the Bugle, where Jonah looks up, wondering what Peter is doing. An explosion goes off just as he finishes his sentence, and something covered in webs falls right where Jonah is standing. Lapearl jumps in and shoves Jonah out of the way just in time, and when they get up, the first thing Lapearl says to Jonah is, "Have you ever asked yourself, Mr. Jameson, why trouble seems to follow Peter Parker wherever he goes?" Jonah just brushes it off like he doesn't even care at all. He's too busy thinking about how his office just got destroyed, as if he don't got any insurance to cover it. But as for Lapearl, she has to know Peter is Spider-Man, especially after the talk at his apartment. Lapearl walks over to whatever just landed and checks it out. Both of them wonder what it is until they're suddenly freaked out when one of the predators breaks out of the, well, might as well call it a web cocoon since we know what it is now. Issue 3 ends off right there with a huge cliffhanger, and I hate when they do that. It is what it is though. As far as my speculations for the 4th issue, I think Kraven is going to indirectly save MJ from the Bad Blood, as he's going to face off against the Bad Blood first, before Spider-Man even gets a chance to meet him. As far as Spider-Man, he's going to be fine, maybe a few injuries here and there after the explosion. The fight is going to go on a little bit longer, but he's going to eventually catch on and see that the Predators are hunting the Bad Blood, not endangering other people. Hopefully he'll even find a way to make peace with the Predators, and they'll all work together to hunt the Bad Blood down. Hopefully. Now, it might lean more towards what I said in the first video as far as speculations, where it's going to be Spider-Man versus Kraven versus the Bad Blood, and then versus the 3 Predators. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on where you think the story can go in issue 4. But besides all that, if you're entertained, thought it was educational, like what I said or all the above, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, and turn on post notifications, especially if you're a new viewer. If you want to support the channel even more, my links will be down in the description box below, and I'll talk to you guys and go later. Peace.